Everywhere. What? No, this is her walk. She walks like this. It's her arms on the stomach now. Is you even a month yet? Come on.
Well, looks to me like I'm going to go ahead and start with one mic. And if we're fortunate enough to come up with all the others, we'll use them. We welcome you to the LPUA meeting. We, as your representatives in the LPUA, welcome your involvement and encourage your participation. This meeting is a public hearing. If you wish to address the LPUA on any item on this agenda, please fill out a request to address the LPUA form. Noting the agenda item, the blue form, is available in the foyer as you come in, and it should be submitted to Ms. Veronica Williams, our council clerk, seated to my left. It's important that you fill it out completely. If you're not filling it out completely, you will not be given the opportunity to speak. If you have materials to submit to the LPUA, please give those to Ms. Williams as well, and she will see that we get them. In an effort to allow everyone an opportunity to speak, the 5-minute rule is in effect. I'm requesting that any media, should they walk in, they would be seated to our left. Lastly, food and drinks are not allowed in the auditorium. Our procedures are by resolution and not by Robert's Rules of Order. First, I would ask the LPUA, any members have any announcements?
I move that we take the entire agenda in global.
Second.
Hearing none, Mr. Stanley? Thank you. Mr. Huval, I know you wanted to address the council, the LPUA. Let me see if I can get your mic to work.
You could have just addressed the whole council, and we might want to move to strike right now. Yeah, I know they got it. I know they.
Well, Mr. Huval, seeing that we have no microphone except this one, what I would ask is that I know you want to make a presentation and some good news. Maybe it's possible we do that during the council meeting, and we just hold off.
Yes, sir.
For now, and we'll take up the business at hand.
So you dismiss without prejudice.
You try your mic? Yours is
We
working.
are on.
Very good.
Yeah, I promise you, this will not run long enough to get into the council meeting. We'll get it done before then. Because I know that you can turn off this microphone as fast as you can get it turned on. No, I appreciate the opportunity to share with you some good news. You may recall there was some media coverage about some issues in parts of Louisiana where there were brain-eating amoebas that had actually caused a couple of deaths. We explained to the council and the LPU at that time that those systems were systems that used surface water and treated that surface water. In our case, our water, 100% of our water comes from the Chico Aquifer, which is insulated from that type of contamination. However, the state passed some rules. The DHH set up a new rule process that required all water systems to install more sampling points on their systems. In our case, we had 48 sampling points. These are points where we can check the water to verify that it passes all the DHH standards. The request was for, or requirement is that we had to increase our 48 sampling points by 165. So basically add 4 times more of the points that we already had, which involves installation of these points on, well, first of all, locating the right points, the right locations on the lines so that the DHH will approve it, and secondly, to install them in those lines. There's a lot of construction out there, so we did this with our own crews and got it complete by the February 1st deadline. The requirements didn't come out till November the 1st, so we didn't have a very long time to be able to act on this. The cost of the initiative was about $140,000, and we had shared that with you at the time that this came up. But I thought hopefully some comfort to our customers and the customers of the systems that buy water from us, that our system, not only was it safe to begin with, but now we're even meeting the new higher standards being put out there. And we may well be the first large city in the state to have gotten this done. DHH has been very impressed with the diligence that our staff went through to make sure that we had covered all of our bases with them and gotten the work done in time to meet the February 1st deadline. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And and making these things happen is, you get a lot of credit for it, because when I come to you each year with our budget, I can't predict when the newest DHH rule is going to come up with a new DEQ rule or a new requirement. And we have to allow some funds in our budget to be able to react to those things quickly. And I know when we start looking at the budgets, we get concerned about some of these dollars we're making available, which are only used for situations like this that could not be anticipated. We had the funds to make this happen, and therefore we're able to make the required deadline. And so I thank you for your support of what we do, and wanted to share with you those good news. I'll answer any questions if any of you have any.
I don't see any questions. Mr. Hall, on behalf of the LPUA, please thank your staff for being so responsive and getting it done in a timely fashion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to reiterate that there. Thank you very much. Work y'all do.
Well, thank you. And it is our staff that made it all happen, but we took it seriously from the beginning, and that makes all the difference in the world. And again, having that support from our elected officials in the community is critical to be able to move quickly like this.
It's nice to know you can take a shower and not have to worry about raining in amoebas.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we'll take Mr. Boudreau's suggestion, and we'll take all items in globo. If you could read the first item up.
Ordinance 1, 2014. PUA. An ordinance of the Lafayette Public Utilities Authority amending the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government Code of Ordinances, Chapter 94, Article 4, Section 94-208, Payments to Developer for Underground Line Extensions for Residential Development.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Andy Nakhan.
Second.
Second by Mr. Patan. Mr. Boudreau, if you would call the roll.
District 3?
Yes. Oh, wait, hang on. Mr. Nakhan has a question.
Mr. Huball, if you don't mind. I was curious, and I've been inquired by a few developers, what exactly are the changes on this ordinance? How is it going to affect them financially? What's the difference between this ordinance that we're about ready to run through versus what they were previous?
The developers ought to be very pleased, because it's actually going to save them money. In the past, the way the structure was set up is the developer would pay for the cost of installing all of the underground lines in a new development that they were setting up. And then we would reimburse them about a third of that at the time that we accepted the system. We would reimburse them for about a third of that once 10% of the homes were sold, or those homes on 10% of the lots, and the final third of the reimbursement we would make would be for when they had 20% of the lots with homes. But that 100% that we paid was not 100% of the cost. The developer still had a substantial investment in the cost of the lines that were there. And the logic behind that is that all of our rates are based on having overhead lines serving customers. And so if a customer or a development is going to have underground lines, then it should be that development or the people who live in that development that pay for that. So that's the logic behind it. The Public Service Commission has passed some rules with the utilities that they regulate to change that arrangement to where the utility system puts it in and charges the developer $5 a front foot, which is actually a cheaper price than the developers pay today. Our ordinance actually incents the developers if they want to install it themselves, because the logistics of installing streets and drainage and water and sewer and electricity sometimes can be better managed by the developer than to have us trying to coordinate our schedules with them and vice versa. In that case, we would pay the developers, or developers would pay us $4 a front foot net, even though they installed it. So their net cost would be $4 per front foot. So then this arrangement is actually going to be a more attractive one for the developers versus what we had in place before.
So they would pay $4 a foot plus the cost of installation you're talking
They would
about?
pay, they would put the system in the ground, they would have to get bids and so on as required, and then their net cost would be $4 a foot. So
Oh,
we would reimburse them all but $4 a
All but
foot.
$4.
If they did it themselves, and if we do it, then they would pay us $5 a front foot, and we'll absorb all the costs of installing.
Okay, so they come out ahead $1 a foot then, basically, is what
They
it
actually
is.
come out ahead further than that, because the $5 a foot is cheaper, it's less out-of-pocket cost for them than it is now under their current arrangement. The current arrangement, they had to pay 100% of it to begin with. So the
Right.
developer is borrowing money from the bank, trying to set this up. It was a greater burden on them.
Right.
And it was similar, however, to what other utilities were doing 20 years ago, but conditions have changed. And so now this will actually reduce the developer costs.
The potential will help the developer then.
Yes.
Thank you, Terry, appreciate it. That's all.
Thank you. Any other questions? If you would call the roll.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes,
District 8?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
See, this a
meeting is
50
adjourned.